They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense.
King Harold, King's Roulette, King's Club. So, Jesus was walking through a small village, and he saw a group gathered and heard someone addressing the group, and he walked over to see what was happening, and Jesus walked closer, and he saw the town's elders standing together, and a senior elder pointing to a woman that was tied to a stake, bound to a stake, and said she had been convicted and was guilty of prostitution and was sentenced to be stoned to death. And Jesus looked around the crowd and saw the carts of stones next to all the citizens. Now, Jesus was known through the region for some of the miracles he had done. Everybody recognized him. He walked over past the elder without even recognizing he was there, and the elder stopped talking, and Jesus walked over to the woman. And the woman looked up at him and whispered something to him. And Jesus turned and stared at the elders and glared at them and walked over by their feet and picked up a stick and began writing things in the sand. And as the elders read what Jesus had wrote, they lowered their heads and walked away and left the crowd. And Jesus looked at the crowd as they were holding stones in their hands, and he told the crowd, "He who's without sin, cast the first stone." And they all walked away with their heads down. And Jesus unbound the woman, looked in her eyes and said, "Go and sin no more." So I'm going to tell you tonight, if you're carrying some burden with you, something from your past, something from your history that you regret, something you wish you had done differently, you wish you had done better, I'm going to tell you, God has already forgiven you. Let it go. Tear off that rearview mirror and stop looking back at it. It's of no value to you. God is not mad at you. God has forgiven you. He even, by my conversations with him, he even kind of looks at life here as trivial, because it's in, as he says, the blink of an eye. He even goes as far as to say, life in this world is as close to hell as you're ever going to be, because you're going to serve out eternity with me. And in that way, God looks at time on earth as a little bit trivial. And so he doesn't try to solve every one of your problems. He actually wants you to have some problems and learn how to overcome challenges during this short time on earth. And I was thinking about it when I was 17 years old. I was one of the best basketball players in the state that I grew up in. And I remember being king of the high school campus and recognized everywhere and in the newspapers. And it was like I owned the world during that brief moment in time. And now inside of this 72-year-old man, I still feel that 17-year-old guy is still there. But then when I look in the mirror, I realize he's gone. And he was actually gone in a blink. And so I'm looking forward to my eternity too. And I'm very, very happy with the promise that has been given to me. We've been meeting with attorneys and their staff about things that we can go forward with and become even more valuable to you during this path that we walk. And I've been working very hard, as has the angel, to try to keep everything up to date and moving. And one of the first recommendations that came back is something that we're going to do so that we're more effective for you. We're going to make some elite subscriber opportunities for you at 3 levels, beginning at the Duke and the Duchess level, followed by the Prince and the Princess level, and the King and the Queen level of subscribers, where you have more access to us, more instant response to us, and more opportunities to be more active with us. By doing this, we can also bring in an IT person. We can bring in someone who can help us stay more organized and more responsive. And I will tell you this, we got our first request today in the King and Queen status that we have already approved, that 2 members of the kingdom are going to fly out here and overnight at the palace with me and the angel. I'm going to cook dinner for them. They're going to stay here. I'm going to go to the casino with them and have a short social moment with them. I don't play socially, but I will go with them for this time, and then put them back on their planes to their home. And at the king and queen level, we will be offering opportunities. If somebody wants to come here and hang out with the king and the angel, they certainly will be welcome to do so. That will be one of the perks. There'll be other perks too. I mean, discounts on merchandise and responsiveness, and we will start doing some other things like we're going to do tonight. I'm going to make a big shout out to King Brett Morton out there in the land of the kingdom. Brett Morton has made a request today, and we're going to honor it tonight. Brett Morton wants us to run a 15-number recovery for him and do it my way. So we're going to see, can we recover from a loss based on Brett Morton's request? And so all I got to do now is look and see. Okay, we are even. So let's lose $20 real quick. I'll put 20. Hope we don't hit the zero. Let's lose $20 real quick. And so, well, that's going to take another spin. At least we didn't get any money out of it. Double zero. So here's how we're going to do it. So that's a 5. That's in the first dozen. So I'm going to pick 15 numbers that I think align best with the first dozen. And we are going to go with start with a $4 bet on 15 numbers and going D'Alembert to try to recover according to Brett Morton's request. We will be doing more of these for someone out there who has an idea of something they want to look at or something they want us to test, other ways for us to have more interaction with you. Let's see, 26, yeah. And 30 for $4. These numbers I picked out based on corresponding with the first dozen. So we're going to play this, and I may have something wrong here, but it really doesn't matter. We're going to give it a shot here. We're at $4. That would be D'Alembert, how we would play it. So there's a loss. So we will reset this, add 2. And we're doing this at Brett Morton's request. And we spin. So Brett Morton, I believe, we not only have recovered, we have gained $38 in that recovery on the second spin, as you had asked, with a D'Alembert session of recovery using 15 numbers that I have. Some numbers that I correspond with the first 12. I have other numbers I correspond with the second 12, and others I correspond with the third 12, which actually mean nothing other than they are random numbers that I have picked randomly to be associated with those dozens, because obviously no number on the wheels is corresponding or associated with anything. There are 38 independent numbers, and so but I did pick 15 of them because of what Brett had asked. So not only did we recover, we got $38 more. I encourage Brett to continue to explore this, and all of you guys do it as well. If you want the numbers that I'm using to associate with the first, second, and third dozens, I'll be delighted to give it to you. They are numbers that are somewhat aligned on the wheel. There are numbers somewhat aligned with the first column. You'll notice all that as you go. But if you want precisely the numbers that I'm using, I'll be more than happy to give them to you. If you have other questions about the levels of subscribers, or other questions about our path forward, you have other questions about what I call a night in the palace, by all means, ask. We're going to be providing it. We're going to become more and more active with you. We're building something here with this kingdom, and I have many things that I would like to tell you, but mostly tonight I'd like to tell you, anything that's on your mind, God's already cleared it. Stop worrying about it. Go forward with your life. Do good things. Live with humility. If you live with humility, all kinds of things are going to come to you. So this is the King, with the angel by my side, telling you that we love you. We're here for you. And for night, Brett Morton, thank you, sir. We bid you adieu.